So before we get revved up for today's video, I think it's important that I set the record straight. In my previous video when we were discussing armor, I made a statement that I thought at the time might be taken out of context. But to be completely honest, I spent a lot of time on that video and I just simply ran out of time. So I considered removing it in post, but I just missed it. And when the chips were down, I'm like, you know what? People just have to deal with it. I hope that people are paying attention to what it is I was talking about. But of course, it was taken out of context, and here's that statement. They do body armor, particularly their steel stuff is one of the things that we suggest, their coated steel plates. So in a vacuum, if you just passed by and heard that particular statement, I could totally see why you would think that I endorse steel body armor products. And that is just simply not the truth. What I was saying is that I endorse a specific SKU from a particular manufacturer. And that is this product right here. This is the Caliber Armor AR-550 steel cord armor, multi-curve plate with the SPAL shield on it. Very specific, and to be completely clear, I do not endorse other steel cord offerings from the same manufacturer because I think that the quintessential component of this armor is this proprietary SPAL coat that they've got going on here. I've rigorously tested this plate and it exceeds all expectations for steel body armor. We also went out and shot some of their other offerings, including their ultra high molecular weight polyethylene plate, their ceramic plate, and of course that video will be linked in the description box down below for your viewing pleasure. Today's topic is going to be specifically on the economics of owning armor. And I understand that there may be a fair number of foreign individuals watching today's video, but today's video is going to be geared specifically towards my American audience. I understand why you might be here. I will try to leave my foreign biases out, and you are welcome here, of course. But just know that I'm going to be specifically talking to my Americans. So, as Americans, most of us, me included, when we talk about the economics of owning armor, we are pissing money into the wind. Because if I have to rely on this product, then it's a really, really bad day. We do not want to have to rely on this product. However, as responsible, prepared citizens, particularly as Americans, we are drawn towards these types of products because that's in our heritage. Expiration. There can be a fair amount that goes into that expiration date, but sometimes it's relatively simple. So if we look at this is an ultra high molecular weight polyethylene plate. It's listed as 5 years expiration. This is essentially plastic. This is a piece of steel cord armor, also listed 5 years. That's because the way that the whole armor rating system and expiration date thing works is you can only warranty your product for the amount of time that you've been in business. Well, Caliber Armor has only been in business for 5 years. So the maximum they could have possibly tested their plate is 5 years. So therefore, that's all the data they have, that's all they can report. So I wanted to kind of put that in there that if you're picking up plates from different places, that you have to look at how long they've been in business, and that's how long they can warranty that plate because that's all the data that they have. A future alien civilization will find this plate and wonder what we used it for. Let's go to distinction by method of stop. So when we're talking about a steel piece of armor, it is going to literally disintegrate the bullet upon impact. That is its main method. And then after that, the anti-SPAL layer is there for the purposes of catching those fragments to keep them from injuring you. That's why that anti-SPAL layer is really important. If you look at the other two types of plates that we're going to cover today, again, we're not going to talk about the super soft armor stuff that's good for handguns and stuff. We're talking specifically about rifle plates today. A ceramic plate is going to act similarly in that it is going to partially fragment that bullet and then catch it in a layer. In that the ceramic is going to break, shatter, dissipate a lot of the energy, destroy the bullet as it moves through the ceramic, and then there's going to be a layer that captures that bullet. Sometimes it's made of steel, sometimes it's made of ultra high molecular weight polyethylene. The poly plate doesn't really break up the bullet that much. It relies on the slowdown distance through the material. As that material is compressed, it slows the bullet down. Yes, it will disintegrate partially, but not nearly as high disintegration as with a steel plate or a ceramic plate. So those are the methods by which the armor actually stops the bullet. These provide particular advantages depending on which type of thing that you're looking for. If you're looking for multi-hit capability, which is not really a thing, then a steel plate is going to give you lots of multi-hit capability. Now that spall coat is going to disintegrate. Up to this point, we have tested it multiple times and we get 6 rounds of spall protection out of this plate, which is 6 times more than we want it to do. I just so happen to have a ceramic plate here. Those plates, by contrast, are going to have 0 multi-hit capacity. If you put another round right here, it's going right through that plate and into you. However, if you hit it over here, then again, there's a pretty good chance that as long as that ceramic isn't super cracked, that it's going to give you multiple hit protection in different areas of the plate. Whereas you can stack rounds right on top of each other on this steel plate and it's going to protect you. Again, the spall layer, good for one, is what we're hoping for. The other problem with products that are made out of ceramic or ultra-high molecular weight polyethylene is backface deformation. So this is literally punching into you. Now this was shot, this particular one, we have a full video out on this plate as well, but this was shot with a 338 Lapua at like 5 feet. So it's a lot of backface deformation, but it was hit with a really, really heavy caliber at really, really close range. This is going to press into you and it's going to hurt really bad. Same thing with the ultra-high molecular weight polyethylene plate, but there are additional benefits to ceramic and poly plates that you don't get with steel. For instance, steel plates, the angle of attack to the armor, this plate needs to be relatively square to the direction of impact, because if the round comes in like this, then it's likely to skip off that direction. However, with a ceramic plate, that angle increases a little bit. You can have a more extreme angle to the plate before it starts to deflect. Same thing with the ultra-high molecular weight polyethylene plate. The advantage of ultra-high molecular weight polyethylene plate, speaking of poly plates, we have 2 here. This is their standard size, and then this is their big boy plate. So it's not just my circumference that is the problem. I have a torso length problem. And the issue here is if I put this plate on and it touches my clavicle, then it doesn't cover my diaphragm. And while I am relatively short at 5'11", my torso is very long. I have short legs and a long torso. And because of that, critical areas are exposed. So this guy will cover both my clavicle and my diaphragm, which is a plus. So if you're a larger individual and have the same problem that I have, which is this contacts you way above your bend point, then you might consider something like this. This is the ultra-high molecular weight polyethylene, the big boy plate. It's relatively thick, and that's because of the method of disruption that we talked about earlier. This is the steel plate, super thin. In fact, I have to use an anti-trauma plate with this to keep it secure in this particular plate carrier. Now, this is an HRT, full video available on this particular plate carrier. It currently has the standard size plate in it, and this does fit. It's just a little bit snug in this particular plate carrier. So if you want to know about compatibility when it comes to big boy plates, something that you need to research when it comes to fitment into the actual device that's going to be carrying it. So for the sake of visuals here, we're going to say that this is a ceramic plate, even though this is just another ultra-high molecular weight polyethylene plate. When it comes to weight, steel is going to be the heaviest. Ceramic is going to be a little bit lighter, but not a whole lot. And then ultra-high molecular weight polyethylene, super light and neutrally buoyant. Sinks like a stone, sinks like a piece of steel. Cost. And for this, we're not going to use raw numbers because you can find raw numbers yourself, and they're going to vary manufacturer to manufacturer because different manufacturers specialize in different things. So we're going to use multipliers. Base cost, steel. A ceramic plate is going to cost roughly 2 to 3 times the base cost of a steel plate. With the only exception, and even though we're talking mostly about caliber here today, I don't think that they'll mind me saying that caliber doesn't specialize in ceramic armor, but these guys, RMA, does, and these are very cost competitive, even though they are more expensive than a steel plate. From there, a ceramic plate is going to be, again, twice as expensive as, 2 to 3 times as expensive as a steel plate, and then an ultra-high molecular weight polyethylene plate is going to be roughly 2 times as expensive as a ceramic plate. So now that we've covered the individual aspects of all three types of armor, in my opinion, cost-benefit analysis is either this particular steel plate or an ultra-high molecular weight polyethylene plate. Skip the ceramics. The reason why is, in my opinion, for the twice multiplier or 3 times multiplier of a ceramic plate, you don't really get very much. You get a small weight reduction, but the weight of a ceramic plate is a large percentage of the total weight of a steel plate. The weight of an ultra-high molecular weight polyethylene plate is substantially less of a percentage of the steel plate. And really, this doesn't provide that much more protection. The only caveat to that is a lot of ceramic plates are level 4. If you're specifically looking for level 4 protection, then yes. Okay, this is a level 3 plus. Yeah, this is level 3 plus plate. And then the ultra high molecular weight plates are usually in the level 3. I know that we've covered the anti-spall capabilities of this particular plate ad nauseum at this point in time. There's going to be somebody that says, oh, but the spall is still a problem. You should use a ceramic plate. Well, if we dig into this ceramic plate, all of this right here is razor blades. This erupts every time that plate is impacted. All that gets worked up into the air, and you can breathe that in. I cut myself in a couple places here just to prove a point. Yeah, guys, they're getting going. I didn't cut them very deep. I'll get some close-ups for you on them, but in my opinion, there are really 3 motivations for ceramic plates. The first one I think is valid, and that is if you are specifically concerned about level 4 threats, then yeah, that's your plate. But the other 2, in my opinion, are not valid, and they are as follows. You can't afford it. So if you can't afford a $500 plate, then you can't afford a $300 plate. There's a big difference between being able to pay for it and actually being able to afford it. And yes, you may feel better about purchasing a $300 plate than a $500 plate, so $1,000 versus $600. Yeah. But realistically speaking, if you can't afford this, then you can't afford this. Plain and simple. Don't try to justify it. It won't feel good to spend that, but if you have the discretionary income to put forth to get a $600 set of plates, then you got the discretionary income to put forward to get a $1,000 pair of plates that are going to perform infinitely better than a heavy piece of ceramic.
It's on top.
Oh, wow. Wow. Again. Wow.
Still.
Holy shit. And the last motivation for ceramic plates is that somebody told them that was the thing. Okay? And I understand that there's a lot of people that have done real guy shit that have formed the opinions that they have formed about the ceramic plates. However, a lot of those people have also graduated to using this stuff. Okay? And yes, their experience may be ceramic plates, but they also have gained that experience through the lens of they were issued this stuff because they were given the lowest bidder stuff. That was the pinnacle of technology at the time. The sappy plate was the pinnacle of technology. Well, now it is no longer the pinnacle of technology. And if you're going to pay real money for a set of plates, then you ought to pay for the best frickin' stuff out there. And if you're not willing to pay for the best frickin' stuff out there, then you ought to buy the best stuff in the lowest product category that there is. Now, I understand that this message, this opinion, runs contrary to a lot of the conventional knowledge that's out there, particularly on cesspools like Reddit. That said, I would love to hear your guys' opinion, but my opinion is that having shot a lot of plates in all the different categories, that the output of the product for the expenditure is underwhelming in the ceramic category as compared with the other 2. In every single category of analysis, that is the case. So I just don't think that when it comes to purchasing armor for yourself, not being issued armor, but purchasing armor for yourself, as a responsible citizen, I don't think that your money is wisely spent on ceramics.